you go back again, this is Amari on Anthony Tolliver. Tell me that's not what this is right here.
What's up, everyone? Are we ready to watch some film? Some highlights, really. Let's be honest. We're going to focus on highlights. We got some Bradley Beal talk already in the chat. What's up, Sam?
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. Can you hear me? Sorry.
There you are.
Go on. I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Well, who do you want to start with?
Let's start with Maluach. I have him up, so let me...
Makes the most sense.
How you feeling now? We got a few days to really think about... I mean, really a day and a half to think about the whole draft as a whole, but like since the first round, it's been a few days. How you feeling so far?
Honestly, I feel really good about the state of the team compared to, say, a week or two ago. I mean, the Bradley Beal thing is looming over all of our heads right now. And I'm not super optimistic there, but just the power of having young players on the team again kind of makes up for a lot of that. So I feel like Summer League a couple weeks from now is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're just looking at highlights right now. I'm going to shout out No Ceilings right now, actually, because I'm going to use some of their videos just to watch some highlights. I also recommend going to their channel. First of all, they have a Khaman Maluach video specific for the Phoenix Suns that they just recently posted. So go watch that one. There's some really good film work in that one. They also have an hour-long interview with Koby Brea breaking down his own film. Sam, have you watched that yet?
Yes. Have you?
Yes, it's awesome.
Let's just start. What are your takeaways from that before we get into Maluach film? Well, what interested you about that conversation? Because I agree. I encourage people to go back and watch that.
He seems really thoughtful and smart. It's
Agreed.
clear that he's not a freshman. You know what I mean? Like there's year over year development for him that he acknowledges when talking about some of his previous years, and he transferred to Kentucky. So there's some talk about what he did previously and what he did at Kentucky and the differences in what he's learned. And that's the part that I really enjoyed, because, seeing a player sort of acknowledge and think about their own personal development over time, I think is really valuable.
I agree. I think that's, a common denominator that we're going to see in these prospects regarding the Suns' evaluations of them, of just being smart kids who have rapidly developed over time that you can project forward. I mean, with a guy like Maluach, obviously he's only been playing basketball for 4 years and he's improved so much in that time. And then with a guy like Koby Brea, he's coming in much older, but there are certain things he added to his shooting profile year after year. And I really like the fact, just like, a lot of guys who are just in it for a check aren't necessarily watching NBA basketball, in their own time or studying players, or like they might say they like a guy, but Koby Brea in that video, if you go back and watch it, it was clear he really is watching these guys. He talked about like the classic, like Duncan Robinson in terms of, his ability to move off the ball.
JJ Redick, Kyle Korver, Steph Curry. Yeah.
He's also a huge fan of Devin Booker. He did mention that.
Mm-hmm.
He also is a huge fan of Paul George. It sounds like, now look, I don't know how people feel about Paul George, but like Paul George has had an awesome career and is an awesome player. And he talked about Paul George specifically related to his ability to jab step and kind of move defenders without even taking a dribble, and watch kind of where, how the defense is reacting to you, to the point where you can move the defense without even taking a dribble. And then when you do take a dribble, you've created space. So it's just, it's clear that he's a smart kid who's like studying the game at a high level. And that right there makes me like him already.
I think the interesting thing over time is Paul George is just one of those guys who kids really like. I wonder if that's going to continue now that his career is kind of on a downward trajectory. But like, it used to be Kobe Bryant was all the draft picks favorite players, and they do these as polls, and then it became KD and Paul George were kind of dominating that for like the last 10 years. And we'll see what it is now. Like Cooper Flagg, I don't know if you saw this. Do you know who Cooper Flagg said his favorite player is and who he grew up watching?
LeBron? No idea. What did he say?
Jason Tatum. Jason
Okay.
Tatum. That's how
All
old
right.
you are now, Sam.
We're losing recipes. We really are. And the league is in trouble. All
It's
right,
just, you know.
let's get into some Maluach film.
Okay, I want to say this about Khaman Maluach. This No Ceilings video starts with his scoring, and we'll go back and watch some of his scoring, and we can watch some of the playmaking stuff too. But in a conversation about Khaman Maluach, it should start with defense. The No Ceilings videos are all formatted to go offense, playmaking, defense. But this is where you start with Maluach. We're just gonna play it from here. And Sam, if you want me to pause, go back, or even slow it down, just let me know.
Mhm.
We can do that for any of these plays here. So let's see. I think the interesting already how little of the highlights have him playing in a drop. Like, he kind of plays up high, he switches, he plays at the level of the screen, he hedges. There's a lot of help defense in here too.
Yeah, I think, that was a key aspect of Duke's scheme, and obviously it's easier to do when you have both Cooper Flag and Maluach there in the front court together. I mean, this is just drop defense here, but
It's
yeah,
a great example actually of what
he's got an
gonna do
ability
in
to
the
do
NBA
both.
probably. Because, like, yeah, he's got an ability to do both, and they trusted him to do that because they had Cooper Flag. Probably that's like part of it. And the other thing too, if you think about his rebounding numbers, because a lot of people are concerned with his rebounding numbers so far, and I get it. But if you factor in the fact that he's playing at the level of the screen quite a bit, that factors in to the rebounding numbers as well. It means he's up at the top of the key. We'll find some clips
I
where he's doing that.
Just quickly on that, does No Ceilings, because I haven't seen this video specifically yet. Do they have a rebounding section here or
No,
something like that?
no.
Okay. Yeah, the rebounding numbers, I just want to point out his offensive rebounding numbers are really good. It's his defensive rebounding numbers that just statistically are okay. And so that's interesting to think about as well.
I still think rebounding could be a concern for him in the NBA, but I'm not as concerned by the numbers. I think it's more of a he needs to put some weight on, and I know he's He's already going to be listed at like 250 something, but he's still pretty narrow, and taking up space is something that's important for rebounds as well. It's not necessarily just your weight. So the reason I wanted to watch this one over again is because this is what I think he's going to be doing in the NBA. So we are going to see clips of him switching, and we're going to see clips of him playing at the level of the screen. This traditional style drop defense in a pick and roll, this is what I anticipate the Suns are going to be asking him to do maybe the entirety of his rookie year, maybe occasionally putting in some different schemes. And, sometimes teams force you to switch when you're not trying to switch anyway. So there will be some switching regardless, because teams are just good at forcing you to do that. But this style of, I'm actually going to slow it down here, of drop defense is just what I expect him to be doing quite a bit.
Is that Knipple there? That's actually really good trailing defense from him.
Knipple's a good defender, man.
Yeah.
That's another thing I've noticed.
This entire Duke scheme, like Maluach is going to anchor it, but they had a lot of defensive talent around them, and you kind of get the sense that Phoenix is trying to build in the same way. That is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
his
ability
to come
and
over there.
I mean, the main thing is he's got a 9'8" standing reach. Yeah,
I'm going to be honest, because of my lack of consistent NCAA watching, I don't know who these guys are that he's playing in these clips.
The
but
block numbers,
he does look like a man amongst boys in a lot of these.
Yeah, and he's good at flipping his hips. This is something we've talked about a lot with DeAndre and Wright, and we'll see if we get him stuck on a guard in any of these clips, because I think that's going to be something that, if he has a really high ceiling as a defender, he's going to have to be someone who
he's up.
Here's a drop defense, yeah,
then goes back in a drop. Okay,
yeah. So that's like Jokic style defense there. You just can't go into the paint when he's standing there. That's for sure. Good post defense. Stronger than he looks, I think, just because he weighs more than you would expect with his frame. Lots of left-handed blocks, which is
I was about to say, looks like both ambidextrous blocking, which is always a good sign for a guy.
And players shoot with their right, so going up with your left is smart, right? You're matching their shooting hand. That's great
And in some
transition defense.
cases, in some cases, just spike it with
Both
both
hands.
hands off the
Yeah,
backboard. That's
probably
fun.
this one too. Oh, that's the left. And the block numbers are what they are. Like they're pretty good, but I also think him.
Ooh.
That's really nice, actually. Let's watch that one.
Yeah,
again.
go back there. Go back there.
Maybe gonna slow that one down because I think it'll be a good example of. So he's guarding.
Get him off balance.
Great footwork with his hips. He even flips it again at the end there.
He flips his hips twice there.
Yeah.
Go back again.
So he's flipping it
Once.
and then attacks the high
Twice.
foot.
Still vertical. Block with the right hand. Yeah,
He's going to need to be good at that. Like I really think, there's him chasing. So if you get beat, and he will get beat occasionally because he's huge, and you just, when you're that big, you're going to get beat by guards every once in a while. Yeah, that's good recognition there. Let's watch that one again. So he's in the paint here. Plays up high. Must be a shooter. Not sure. Still recognizes getting to the rim. Great help defense. I think the sort of helper defense that comes from him, if he's not guarding the main screener. Ooh, getting back still. That's nice. Let's watch that again.
I'm waiting to see if any of these clips will just have a straight up switch. That one.
Yeah, that one kind of
was.
half switch.
To go with his 8 points. Well, James is one of those guys who really helps you, and he helps you even if he doesn't score.
It's just great.
Yeah, gives up position to the strength of that player, but was still able to recover and get a block.
Well, that's the advantage of length, right? Because if you get beat, that's a good one again. So that's a drop defense with a fast defender just chasing him all the way to the rim. There's a good example of sort of flipping his hips again as it gets by him. Pretty mobile for a guy this big. Like, how it works against NBA competition remains to be seen because they're just a lot faster, a lot quicker in the NBA. But in college, he showed a lot. That's just length right there. Because
Koby Brea was in that clip, too, because that was against Kentucky.
Yeah. See, there's a good example.
They were going
to.
Yeah, that's a trap. Damn. I thought it was just going to be a hedge or ice, and then he goes all the way up into a trap. I mean,
just
if
the
you're
long arms, man.
How tall was that ball handler? What is that guy? 5'11"? Or
yeah, probably just getting engulfed by this massive dude.
That's not a bad idea.
5 for 6 from 3. He's got 16.
Damn.
Over there. Here we go.
5 for 6 from 3. He's got 16 in the first.
The long arms. So he has good steal numbers for his size as well, and that's an advantage of just kind of poking at the ball a little. So that's at the level, right? That's Jokic style at the level defense, just poking it in there. We talk about the defensive rebound numbers. Playing this high, it's just going to happen.
He might be able to perfect the Jokic style kicked ball violation, where you just get up there and kick it and force them to take it out of do an inbound again.
Let's watch.
Okay, so about 4 minutes. Well, this is Fleming.
Oh, it's already switched. Let me go back here.
Go back.
Yeah, we should talk about his scoring, and there's a lot of scoring highlights here. Just a little bit about him as an offensive player. I mean, actually, quickly, let's just talk about his defense. So his rim deterring, like his actual rim defense, he's rated at 54%. This is according to Synergy. This is what I found online at the rim. So opponents shoot 54% at the rim when Maluach is the nearest defender. But overall, the team defense was like 8 points per 100 possessions better, I believe, when he was on the floor than when he was off the floor. So obviously, and the Duke is a good defensive team. So all of that really matters. What is his block numbers? 2.5 blocks per 40 or something like that. I think they will be
40,
better.
I don't know. Let me give you the... I don't have those. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the block numbers are good, but they're not as good, I think, as they could potentially be in the NBA.
2.1 per 36 is what I
Yeah,
see here.
yeah. So about
Um,
2.4 per
so
40. Yeah,
about 2.4 per 40. Yeah, I mean, if you compare it to some other, like, elite shot blockers who have been taken top 10 in the past, I don't know, think like Mo Bamba or something, like, he doesn't have the same level of, raw volume shot blocking. That's true.
right. Yeah, and I
But he
and I
does
think,
have really good, defensive field goal percentage, like, within 6 feet, like, those numbers, it all checks out.
but like schematically for the way that Duke plays defense, it helps boost up block numbers for other guys in a way that he sort of corrals guys the way a guard would in a lot of defensive schemes because of his long arms and playing up high like that. They're kind of driving him into other guys, but I think he's going to get quite a bit of blocks in the NBA. I really think the drop defense when he starts, just before we get on to scoring here, when he starts in the NBA as a rookie, I think the drop defense will look good most of the time, but because he's a rookie who's only played basketball for like 4.5 years, he's going to get lost every once in a while against these really, really fast ball handlers that exist in the NBA. So there will be times where he's kind of looking around left and right because you guard two guys when you're playing a drop defense, and it's going to get lost occasionally. That's just something that's going to happen.
Well, and
But
also yeah, keep going.
the tools, he has the tools. So, right, if you can flip your hips, if you got the long arms, if you got the length, and you're capable of moving relatively quickly, that stuff is going to get dramatically better over time if he puts the work into it, which everything we've heard is that he's willing to put work into it.
Yeah. The thing I was just gonna say, you get to a point in your career where if you're a center, you're kind of expected to be the vocal leader of the defense. Um, Maluach, like I think has a great work ethic according to the scouting report, but he's just not going to be able to do that from a rookie. So it's going to be up to other guys. Dylan Brooks, for instance, if he's going to play a big part with the Suns. Devin Booker needs to take more of a vocal role defensively because what other teams are going to do specifically is they're going to try and run him through multiple actions, and really make him look out of place through their movement. And so, yeah, we might just see him struggle at the beginning, but that's normal for a 19-year-old big.
Yeah. That's kind of wild. In the chat said, quick Maluach stat, his defense obviously projects to be awesome, but he had a 147 offensive rating over his 39 games, 20 minutes per game last season. And that was on his limited role at Duke, all rim efficiency and vertical spacing. Pretty cool. And I agree. 147, think of it more as a team stat than an individual stat. So essentially, while he was on the floor, Duke had a 147 offensive rating with Maluach on the floor. And that kind of stat, I think, stands out in college just because there's just so few guys at his size in college. Truthfully, because of how massive and how long he is, there's few guys at his size in the NBA too. It's just that's how big he is. But he's going to get up above the rim. He's going to throw it down. We'll watch it, and we can talk about shooting. I'm not sure if this video has actually shooting stats.
I want to say he made like
shooting
four
highlights.
threes. I want to say he made like 4 threes on the season, and I don't know if any of those clips are going to be in this video, but yeah, the bottom line number 77% at the rim. That's what he was at in college, and just the level of alley-oop threat that the Suns have on the roster overall now, not just Maluach, but also Mark Williams, compared to what they had last year, is going to be night and day. It's going to be insane.
And you'll see in these scoring highlights just how desperate the Suns are going to be for a point guard that can create for bigs.
True.
Because you're not going to see a ton of self-created shots here in these highlights.
Chris Paul's coming back. He's going to
right.
coach. He's going to coach the summer league team too. He's going to be a player coach.
Taking on Davis chest to chest.
Classic pick and roll stuff, right? Not afraid of contact, especially on pick and rolls.
Rebound again. The offensive rebounding numbers are much better than the defensive rebounding numbers for whatever reason. There's one.
A three.
I mean, look, it looks awkward, but when you have a 9'6" standing reach, I don't think there's a way to shoot a three that isn't going to kind of be like a slingshot.
Truthfully, it's not bad.
It's not bad. I've seen much worse.
Like, can he do it in the NBA? I don't know, but I don't hate it. Handoffs, he's going to do a ton of this. But that's just a great example. He rolls hard. He knows his role. Like, really, that's what it is, right? He's not trying to do stuff outside of what he's capable of doing. And he's a great dunker. His
Yeah.
efficiency stats, we talked about him on the podcast, are insane because this is what he does, right? He just gets to the rim and puts it up over the rim.
Yeah, so he's 250 pounds again, so he's already got like real big man, like real NBA center size. I think, his lower body is still going to be a little bit slimmer compared to basically everyone he's going up against. And so making contact on these screens, that's going to be a point of improvement for him, something that the coaching staff will identify immediately, I'm sure. Offensive rebound, that's a rebound spin.
It really is one of his best offensive skills. What was it? 5 offensive rebounds per 36, I believe, is something close to that, which is crazy.
Not sure.
It's just an excellent offensive rebounder. This dunker spot stuff, which is the Suns could do.
12 rebounds per 36. I don't have offensive
Yeah.
like here. I can look it up in a bit.
That's nice in traffic. That's a slip screen. It's just a great... This is an example of how being capable of flipping your hips matters on offense
Flip,
too.
and then go.
Right,
Yeah, no
immediately
real contact on
plants
the
his
screen,
foot. Yeah.
and they have no chance.
You do this against teams that want to switch to try to see he's playing up to switch and then it's over, right? Because the screen happens so fast that he's already at the rim before they know it. Not sure the Suns have a lot of guys who can make that pass. And by the way, if they get Chris Paul back, are you prepared to pay Maluach a max contract, Sam?
Well, we'll see how good he is 3 years from now. Oh, interesting. Setting a screen for him there to get a little duck in. Okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
A little fake pin down. I've never seen that. That's not going to work in the NBA in the same way, I think.
That is 100% a college play. You're right. That's not working in the NBA, but I do like that.
Yeah, that's a
So, I mean,
plumber's and fireman play.
Keep in mind, he's not a playmaker, right? So he's not going to be comfortable catching in the middle and making plays off the short roll. So a lot of where he's going to be working out of in the NBA too is these dunker spot plays, where someone else is going to have to be facilitating in the middle.
Yeah, he can shoot free throws too. By the way, there's not going to be highlights of free throws, but we've talked about it before. He shoots over 70% in his free throws.
Yeah, it's not
college.
an NBA video.
So whether his ability to I'm not sure how much he's going to just dive into the contact and try to get fouled, but if
that was good contact on the screen right there.
Yeah. Watch that one again. And Booker's very good at using screens. Learned a lot from Chris Paul. Just gets above the rim and throws it down. There was a story that was told about Maluach where they said they were worried about his
angle,
hand.
keeps his hands high, staying in position there once the defense breaks down. So it's a 3-on-2 now. Keeps his hands high, ready for the pass, and then he just has to turn around.
There's a story where the Duke coaches were afraid about his hands, and somebody said, "Why? I thought he has good hands." And they said, "No, we're worried about him hurting it because of how hard he throws it down on the rim." So literally throwing it down so hard at the rim that the coaches were afraid that he was going to hurt his hands. That's terrible defense. Another good screen. Yeah, so you can see why they were considering Proctor, by the way, right? Supposedly they're interested in Proctor. You can see that they have really good chemistry here.
How many Duke?
Here we go. Here we go. That looks good.
How many Duke guys were drafted? 4 or 5?
I'm not sure. Let's see it even slower here. It does not look bad. And they believe in it. They already said it. Brian Gregory, they believe in his shooting. They want to see him do it more. That's nice, finishing through contact there.
I think it was 5. I think their entire starting 5 got drafted in the same year, which is crazy.
Like that one,
Cooper Flagg, Tyrese Proctor, Maluach, Sion James.
What do you notice about this one, Sam?
And Con Knippel.
You're going to like it.
I mean,
look where he catches it. He catches a pocket pass lower than his hips.
Oh. I didn't know that's what you were going for. Yeah, was that the first bounce pass we've really seen in this,
I think so.
In this video? Oh, that's some touch.
Let's just watch it again.
Whoa!
Let me just watch
that was some touch there. Run that back.
Yeah, we'll watch that one too. But being able to catch the ball low, it's something DeAndre Ayton struggled at, so there's trauma there for us. A little fake.
Yeah,
A
those
left-handed hook shot. Let's see
those
that
are small
again.
defenders. Now that I see it again, those are small defenders. But it is.
That's
nice
what
stuff.
he'll have sometimes in the NBA too if they switch.
Yeah, lefty hook.
Not bad. Offensive rebound coming. Right over his head. Right over his head.
Good point from Joel. Catches it at the rim and doesn't stop to shoot a floater. Like, you know, very Oso coded.
Yeah. And DeAndre Ayton too. Yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Okay, okay.
Yeah, almost
lose it.
there, but let's watch it again anyway.
All right. Yeah, so this is going to be the work
The gather was a bit of a struggle. Yeah. No, he doesn't need to dribble. He's gonna know that. You know, occasionally if he's got the line drive.
Okay, they
want
to work
smaller
the
guy on him
mismatch.
now. That was good. You know, that was good body control. He's using his strength. Slow it down a little bit. They called for it. Nice pass, by the way. Harder pass in the NBA. That's nice. Well-timed cut. It's going to be a lot of offensive. The Suns are going to be a good offensive rebounding team.
That is a good point. Can you go back to that offensive rebound there? Just, it's good positioning, great length, but then bringing it back down unnecessarily when he's got a small on him. He needs to just go back up immediately.
Yeah. Which most of them he has. Yes. Oh, that's nice. It's smart screening, though. Like, he knows when to slip and he knows when to make contact, it seems. Nice little handoff. That's a nice play, man.
That's contested and through contact, yeah. Easy, easy.
We should all be praying that Devin Booker just has the best chemistry with him that he's ever had with the big, because that would be ideal, considering he's going to be by far the best passer on the Suns. I would enjoy all these lobs. They don't all look that different. That's a good off-ball screen, though, which, you know, Koby Brea highlights we're going to watch later. Those off-ball screens are going to matter. Let's get to some playmaking now. There's a lot of the same in his scoring.
Does that exist in this video?
I believe it does. And, you know, it's more of an example of
the 30-second section of playmaking.
Yeah, it's more of an example. Of course, it's a big, right? We're factoring that in. He's a center, so we can still watch some of it, though. They're going to be the type of assists that you would expect from a traditional style center, right? Handoffs,
that's
basic cut, yeah.
Okay, uses his body to create some extra space.
Kick out. Nice, though, because he was getting smothered. But, like, there's not going to be much. Let's be honest. And, you know, to be frank, the way they play and the way defenses tended to play them, there's probably not a lot of film of the short roll type of playmaking as well. They didn't seem to be trapping much on them. That's a nice pass.
Yeah, it was hit a cutter.
That's an obvious one, but the obvious ones are really, that's the whole playmaking section there. The obvious ones are what we need him to do more than anything else. That's kind of what he needs to do. As long as he can make the obvious passes, the one pass away type passes, not the advanced skip passes, then he'll be fine. That's really all he needs to do right away. I do think the NBA in particular uses so much more handoffs than college. So his synergy with guards in handoffs and how he plays in the handoff and reads the defense in the handoffs, that's going to be an interesting test for him once he gets to the NBA. We can go to Rasheer Fleming. Do you have any other thoughts on Maluach before we move on? I think the biggest concerns maybe would be something we could talk about too.
Yeah, but I think he has the basics down just from what we saw in the video, right? Good hands, you know, in good spots all over the floor. So I talked about him on the initial round one, like live reaction, just that I feel like, you know, he is a raw prospect, sure, but the floor feels very high for Khaman Maluach as well.
Right.
And I think it just stems from him being able to handle his role as a basic big.
I think he is.
I have to get off for 30 seconds, but I will be back.
Okay, no problem. I think that Khaman Maluach is going to be pretty good right away. Like I think there's a world where his defense translates pretty quickly, especially against bad teams, which is just one of those things where the better the guard play is, the worse a gigantic human being looks trying to guard those players. If you're 7'2" and you're a little bit lumbering, which he's not really for how big he is, he really gets down in a good defensive stance. Maluach does. But athletes are different in the NBA. Sometimes it's Steph Curry coming around those screens. Sometimes it's John Morant or somebody like that coming around those screens. And occasionally you're going to get burned by those guys. It's up to him to find ways to get back fast enough to use his length to still contest, because the rear contests are important for anyone in the NBA, especially, to be honest, the guys who are chasing more like guards. But big men, if they can get there to block guys at the rim, that's going to be important too. So, he'll struggle against the best and fastest guards, and we'll see how he does against bigs in the NBA too. There's not many that post up, so we don't have to do a ton of like post watching defense. But if he struggles there, occasionally Zubac's killed the Suns with post ups. Jokic can do it. There are bigs who can still post up. We'll see if Joel Embiid actually plays this year. But yeah, there's not, into 3 buckets points, the West does not have a ton of bad teams. So, it's a separate conversation for how good the Suns are going to be next year. I think if you're a little less optimistic about them as a team, it's fair. But I think there's a difference between thinking that they're not going to be great when they have no young players that will improve over time, and thinking they're not going to be great when they're the oldest team in the NBA, which they're not going to be this year. They're going to be pretty young, in fact.
I'm back.
You ready for Rasheer Fleming?
Yeah, do you actually want to start with his defense too, since we did the same
yeah.
for Maluach? I kind of feel like that's, his calling card as well.
The offense is so fun, though, for him.
It is, but as we talk about, like, embracing a gritty identity and whatever, I think you can't talk about Maluach's rim deterrence without envisioning pairing it with Fleming's size. That's what's going to be cool about Summer League and the NBA season too.
Yeah, they're both coming off the bench to start, and I think Fleming's going to get minutes. Like, I don't think this is picking a guy in the second round who's not going to play much. I think he's going to play quite a bit. So let's check it out. Easiest way to identify him, if you're trying to quickly find him, longer hair. Sometimes it's hard to find the guys when you're watching defensive highlights, but yeah.
Longer everything.
Longer everything, exactly. So he is... I think here's a good point to actually talk about this now that it's a LaSalle clip. Some people might be asking, why was he picked in the second round? Now, barely in the second round, but in the second round. And this is why. The highlights of him playing defense, it's against LaSalle. It's against smaller guys. He's not in the Atlantic 10, I believe, is a conference that he plays.
Does anyone know where LaSalle is? I have no idea, personally.
Somebody probably does, but like a lot of these defensive plays, you're going to see him smothering guys who will never even sniff the NBA, might not even sniff the G League, right? And that's part of the problem with his film. That's part of the reason he dropped. But like, if you watch it and you still believe in him, which the Suns clearly did, the body is there to be an NBA player. It's not an issue of, he's just bigger compared to these guys. No, he's big compared to NBA players too. He's got the length, he's got the size, he's got the strength. But yes, part of what makes these highlights fun though is that he's just like smothering tiny little guys though.
LaSalle is apparently a private Catholic school in Philly. Oh my goodness.
He's the guy that can get you buckets right now because nothing's happening at the rim.
I love this one.
Jumped prematurely, and did he jump prematurely on that one and blocked it on the way down?
No, he jumped a second jump. So there's one jump, two jumps.
Oh yeah, that is a second jump. Wow. Okay.
It's like Suns fans always think of Sean Marion whenever we see a guy that gets up off his feet fast. But like to not have to load up on a second jump, that's like that's a body thing. Like not everyone can just do that. That's something that your body has to allow you to do, and his does. Oh, that's so nice. Let me see if this is on the highest quality here. Just want to double check. Yes, it is. I'm going to make sure it is. And let's keep it going. Good help defense there. That's just length.
doing a good job solo tonight on the call.
You'll see more than one highlight of him blocking lobs to other players too before they even get to them. Yeah, that's good defense there.
He had to use like a swim move to get out.
Yeah,
that's
spin
around.
Nice. Let's slow that one down. Yeah, so he's under the rim. He's pushing him around, spins around him, gets to where he knows the guard is going, and then gets up and blocks him. So this is okay. So this is actually a good example. He's in a drop right now, so he is a power forward, right? We project him to be a power forward in the NBA, but he's not a 3-4. He's more of a 4-5. In that right here, he's at center on the court right now. Clearly, they have a non-shooter on the ball in this play because look how far of a drop that he's in. He's in the paint when he's at the three-point line. They're not worried about the pull-up shot on this defender. But the reason I wanted to pause it here is just to mention that if there is a world where he does play center, small ball center for the Suns, this is kind of what it will look like. But it does mean that in his time in college, he had some experience as the sole big, essentially, on the floor, playing defense, playing in a drop. I don't know how much experience he had, like playing like point of attack defense. I don't think there's much, and I don't know
I don't think there's much either. But
I don't think it matters against St. Bonaventure anyway. You know what I mean?
Another encouraging thing to the point that he could play as a big is again the rebounding numbers. Like the offensive rebounding numbers were really good for Maluach. The overall rebounding numbers, offensive and defensive, are really good for Fleming. And yeah, that's compared to other 6'9" power forwards, but like it is enough that you could play him at center without losing all that much in a way where, I've compared his body to guys like Jay Crowder, Robert Covington in the past, prior NBA players, but guys who are worse rebounders. Like he is more of a big when it comes to rebounding than guys like that, which I think makes him more viable.
It's like Jaren Jackson Jr. sized, body. But you can see in the similar way we were talking about with Maluach, flipping his hips on a guard and still getting there. That dude was full speed, and he got there to block him at the rim. Once again, St. Bonaventure. But, hey, Woj is their GM, so that's a good one, too. Fighting through the screen, got up, blocked him with his left hand.
Post defense here? Nope, weak side.
He's going to be, that's with the big, right? So he's a power forward here. He's going to be, no, he wasn't the big. He's going to be playing help defense quite a bit on the Suns, so that hopefully we get some good clips of him doing that. Blocking a three-point shooter there is nice. That's length right there. Yeah, that's length.
That clip is literally just what if he had a 7-foot wingspan, he wouldn't have gotten that. He has a 7'5" wingspan, so he got it.
Look where he jumped from. That. It's just so long, so long.
Watson dumps to Quinn.
That's the kind of help defense I anticipate he's going to be doing a lot of. Just this kind of thing right here.
With only 2 points.
Good ball fake.
Santos.
Length.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, and just, the freedom to be, this is something that maybe Ott is going to come in training camp and try and rein him in a little bit, but he did also say, I want them to play an aggressive style of defense. And when you draft guys with these crazy physical profiles, they have the confidence to play out of themselves a little bit more and be overzealous on the first look and then still get back and recover.
Well, and to be fair, too, just to like fully talk about some of his issues, that's one of them right there. He jumped at an obvious pump fake and he wants to block everything. Like that's part of what comes with, those types of highlights. So, catching it here and immediately going up as if the shot was going up immediately, he doesn't need to do that. He's got the length to be able to stay down and he's got the speed to stay in front of guys. He doesn't need to do that. But the advantage of having a 7'5" wingspan, rear contests are possible. We saw it so much with Mikal Bridges for years. If you still get beat and you got the length to continue to get back, you can still block guys even when they beat you.
Out of normal comfort offensively.
Bailey took the
just a straight up block at the rim is nice. This looks like firemen and plumbers right here, huh? What's the modern version of plumbers and firemen?
This is him just playing drop as a center.
Yeah.
What did you say? What's the modern
plumbers and firemen? Is it like crypto traders and
No, I don't think so. Crypto
Finance
is
pros.
not. That's not like a common enough profession. I don't think.
these are finance bros. He's playing against finance bros. That's what I'm going to say. They're future United wholesale mortgage salesmen. Oh, that's nice too. I want to see that again. Just the arms are so long that he just gets to guys so far from where he's standing.
Wow. Can you go back?
Yeah.
I mean, his teammate is just completely out of position at this point, and he erases the mistake of his teammate.
Let's watch it again. I'll slow it down a little too, so we can really process what's happening. Yeah, so he's not supposed to switch here. This guy, this little handoff is all it took, this Chicago action. That's so nice, man.
To me, Matt, the Hawks are playing with great energy at both ends of the court.
It's another example of
Matt, the Hawks are playing with
some level of confusion on what they're supposed to do there. He goes to switch. His teammate is like, no, we're not switching.
To me, Matt, the
So maybe that's the plan. Maybe it was supposed to hedge and get back.
Hawks are playing with great energy.
But there he is.
Both ends of the court.
It's so nice, man. I'd be really shocked if his defense doesn't translate too. And I know it's tough because, like I said, finance bros. He's playing against finance bros.
I don't know. American. He was playing
can't fish
American
link.
there. That's a decent program. Coppin State. I don't know who the hell that.
They're 0-7. It says. Yeah.
Coppin State. You got the copper miners over here.
Look at the stands. There's like 12 people in them. Let's see that again.
Didn't someone
I'm
tell
just
us
gonna
the other
pause it.
night he had a 20 rebound game against someone?
Florida, I believe, right?
Florida? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being Florida. I remember it being someone. No.
Oh, Texas.
Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big program.
Just pointing this one out. There's a dribble handoff to this shooter. Just look where the shooter's got his feet set to take the shot. Just look where his feet are currently. Fleming's. And he still gets out there and gets fingertip on the ball. It's just crazy. There's more space in the NBA though, so he's got to make up even more space to do that. Okay, this is Texas. Okay, so we got some Texas highlights here.
Let me go back. What's his vert again? I mean, it's pretty good. 33-inch max vert.
For a guy with a 7'5".
But yeah, 33-inch max vert for a guy who basically kind of projects as a big and is, 230 pounds. So he's got just more gravity weighing him down. Like, that's good. That's not a guy who can't jump. He's not Derek Queen. Even though he's basically Derek Queen's weight. He's like 10 pounds off from being Derek Queen's weight.
Derek Queen's just going to be one of those guys that's like he's not this guy kind of guy. Just some quick stats on Rasheer Fleming, just defensively, since I paused it here anyway. 1.5 blocks, 1.4 steals per game. That's 2.9 combined stocks, if you will. That's 31 minutes per game last year. They ranked in the 98th percentile in defensive rating while he was on the floor. Once again, against finance bros, but still extremely capable when it comes to defense in the competition that was in front of him on this in college. Also 2.3 offensive rebounds. Now that's more of an offensive thing, but like he's a good rebounder too. We talked about how, Maluach is going to be a good offensive rebounder. The whole Suns team could be a lot better at offensive rebounding with the combination of Mark Williams, one of the best offensive rebounders in the NBA, Maluach, one of the best in college, and then Fleming, who also was an excellent offensive rebounder.
He will be better than KD, Chris. Also, I want to address, I'm joking. I want to address Schoolfish there, bringing up the Covington comparison again. He said Robert Covington, except bigger and longer. I just want to remind people, like, in case you're not excited by that comp, Robert Covington was an all-defensive first-team guy.
People forget Robert Covington was a bucket.
No, he wasn't a bucket, but he was an all-defensive first-team
Right.
guy in like 2017 when the Sixers were good, but not, good enough to make past the second round. Even so, like, if that's the ceiling of Rasheer Fleming, even if he never develops an offense outside of that, you're talking about really, really high-level impact.
Comparing him to Schoolfish there said Tumani. Comparing him to Tumani is not a good comparison. I agree with that because Tumani, I don't think Tumani you could put on guards, right? You could put him on a point guard. You could put him on a shooting guard. You're not really going to do that with Fleming. You're going to use him more like the Suns use KD. Truthfully, it's more in that sort of you will guard forwards if the forwards are the ball handlers. I think that is a case where they're going to try that out at least, and we'll see how it goes. I think there's not a lot of that we have from college, but he's going to be more of a weak side rim protector, helper defender who needs to be able to read the floor really well and needs to be able to find guys at the rim once they get beat on the perimeter. And that help defense is really important though.
Is it kind of like Brandon Clark-ish, except he actually has good measurables? Like remember when Brandon Clark
better
was coming out
offense
of college?
too, yeah.
Well, exactly. This is why he's such a better prospect than Brandon Clark because A, he has like 6 more inches of wingspan, and B, he shoots threes. Clark can do neither of those things. But the weak side rim protection being kind of almost the best NBA skill that he possesses at this point is similar between those two guys, I think.
He did talk, and Vasnivi in the chat mentioned Jaden McDaniels. He talked about Jaden McDaniels in some of his pre-draft workouts too. Fleming, these guys, I'm sure they have agents telling them the right thing to say, but I'll say this, saying Jaden McDaniels, that was the right thing to say. That's like a good thing for him to say. And we'll just see his mobility against NBA players. That's going to be the real test, because if we're watching him early, or if we're watching him in summer league and we're seeing like his mobility against NBA level athletes in summer league, the hype's going to be all time for us. We're going to get very excited the way we were with Tumani, but we just don't have much of that to build off of right now. I'm going to slow this one down. Playing in a drop, right? There's sort of a double drag thing happening there, but they don't necessarily use both screens. He slips. He's beat, right? And he still adjusts and able to get that block. Good hands. It's the long arms, man. You can get steals, almost accidentally when you have that long of arms.
Final 1:15 here of our opening 20. Thomas.
No, not exactly the best
stunt.
That's so nice.
Yeah. Stunt.
That's kind of a switch, yeah.
Stunt to force the pickup, right? And then once you force the pickup, he's got no.
See, he's digging. So this is the same team, right? He's digging there right away. He's there to exactly like you said, force the pickup again, and he's kind of forced to switch there. This next one, he still digs, right? But he's not. The other guy's got a free lane to the basket, and he's going to block the lob. And he blocks the lob. He's got a few highlights of doing that, which is not an easy thing
that's
to
just
do.
one he shouldn't be able to get to, but he does.
Yeah. In the drop, just picking his pocket.
You got to catch that thing, step in, and let it.
Oh, is he going to get this? Oh, my God.
Here we go. Oh, they probably fouled him. Another good free throw shooter, by the way. Arms too long.
What's up, D. Nall? Happy to have you. I just retweeted again, Mike, that we were still in here for any
cool.
stragglers.
This will be posted somewhere later. Hopefully YouTube. I'm gonna
I want to say, by the way, if you do end up posting this to our YouTube channel and anyone ends up watching this from YouTube, there's a chance that you haven't seen any of our content in like 5 years because we basically abandoned our YouTube channel, but we still exist. And,
we're still posting podcasts weekly. Yeah.
We're still posting podcasts weekly. It's just really hard to maintain the YouTube channel when it's just the two of us, but hopefully we can do some stuff like this and post to YouTube for sure.
Yeah.
Number 25 is another Philly kid.
Good, tough defense.
With the step through.
Just the arms are so long. It's really like you can't teach that. You can't teach long arms.
Khaman just 5'11", but very, very strong. Ball on the deck.
Getting on the floor, that's high effort. In the Atlantic 10.
Future Dan Marley Hustle Player of the Year.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting race this year.
We're gonna finally fucking have some real fucking food, for the Dan Marley Award.
Let's watch some offense.
Yeah, we should. We need these.
So
threes.
fun.
We're
it's
gonna
so
need
fun.
these threes, man.
Team coming from 16 down and then
Let's see that from the beginning. Slips it. That's with the guy underneath the rim. Not afraid to attack the rim. Like this is the first time the Suns will have a power forward like attacking the rim off the ball like this in a long time.
Kicks it out to Simpson.
And he can still do that. Like that's a bit of a relocation 3 too.
Kicks it out to Simpson.
It is.
Right?
That is definitely a relocation 3.
Keep it.
Because he's under the basket here. He passes it out and gets his feet behind the line and shoots as soon as he catches it.
He'll take the 3. Got it.
And so the thing I will say about his shooting is the high percentage shooting, which I believe he finished the season at 39%. It is just one season. So there's only really one season of him making threes at this high of a level.
He significantly improved his 3-point shooting from sophomore to junior year.
Yeah. So if you're wondering if that's definitely going to be the case for the rest of his career, not entirely sure, but like that's going to have a large impact of how much money he makes in the NBA. If he can continue to shoot threes, at the same level or close to the same level eventually that he did in this year in college, it's massive. I mean, he's just going to be an effective player in the NBA pretty quick.
New coach and the new system wants you to do, and Coach Lang says,
It's
I just
a bit of
want
an
you to
off
be
ball.
you. I want you to be the player that
Not
you were.
afraid.
That's heavily contested.
And once again, the shot's a little weird. The shot's a little weird. It's not the prettiest form. Oh my god.
That's insane. I mean, if he pulls off one of those at Summer League, dude, that's an Amari. That actually is. Look, the Amari comp, when we just say we drafted a power forward, and I saw a few people being like next Amari, he is not Amari at all in the way he plays. But that dunk right there, if you go back again, this is Amari on Anthony Tolliver. Tell me that's not what this is right here. That's an insane dunk.
That's so nice. They ran the... Oh, this is kind of the Valley-oop play.
Valley-oop play? Yeah,
what? I gotta watch that again.
It's the same play.
I'm pretty sure it's the same play. I think there was one extra screen.
Oh, he actually just slipped it, yeah.
Yeah, because Book set the... It's basically the same play, except Book set the screen in the Suns version. That's fun.
Another slip.
Oh,
yeah,
I
he
love
just
that.
moves. He
Yeah,
moves
let's watch
really
it
well
again.
without the ball.
Yeah, that's just really, really good reading of what the defense is doing. Because they want to switch. Let's talk about it again. They want to switch. So he's going up into this screen knowing that they're going to switch. But he's set up sort of almost like a top block off the ball. And so all you have to do is just run to the rim at this point, and he did it.
Wait, pause right there again.
Mm-hmm.
You know who can make that play at the top of the key? You know who can make that read?
Who?
And play with Rasheer? Maybe Rasheer's Oso and Rasheer can play together.
That's true, and they might have
They can
to
play together, and Rasheer shoots, so it makes it all work. This is why I say, Oso is not doomed here in the overall scheme of what the Suns are doing for their future. Yes, he has a long way to go. There are things he has to improve at to stick around in the league, but they have combinations now that they can play him with and still be big and have a lot of skill on the court.
Look at those little tiny guys next to him. I just had to pause it here.
But that's me. That's me on the court right there. Legitimately.
I hope they keep Oso. There's some, I just have trauma from having to include Tumani Kamara in a DeAndre Ayton trade. So
that's the thing, is if you trade Oso to get off Beal, then he's guaranteed to be Sabonis. And so you can't have that.
By the way, another thing you're going to notice here, since we do got to talk about where these guys need to improve, is a great look at his weird shot. Actually, this one right here. It's kind of a weird... Somebody compared it to TJ Warren on draft night. I think that
was me.
Was it you? Yeah. I think it's because of where this is a good look of where he picks it up. He brings it down below his waist before he cranks it up to shoot. But one thing you'll notice, similar to Khaman Maluach here, is these are not self-created buckets. He really doesn't have much.
Why it's imperative. They still don't have a point guard as far as we know for the Summer League roster, but why it will be imperative to get that guy, unless they really just plan on running Oso point guard for all of summer league.
Right, and for
they
the
need
and
someone.
for the actual roster, yeah, because
Yeah, they need someone to create some drives and some buckets for these guys to make them look good.
yes, you can't look. Devin Booker will create shots for him. He definitely will create shots for him. But you can't have a backcourt of Jalen Green and Devin Booker and expect them to create a lot of shots for these guys who can't create for themselves. Jalen Green, once again, of all the players who shot as much as him, had the lowest assist ratio. And to be fair, played on a team that doesn't make a ton of shots, but just a couple of Rasheer Fleming stats since I got it paused here too. 91st percentile in points per shot, 1.28 points per possession in college. 99th percentile on cuts. He basically scored, and no, it's against Finance Bros. He basically scored 2 points per cut when he got the ball on cuts. Because if he cut, no one could stop him at the rim. 1.8 points per possession.
I feel like
on
Finance
cuts.
Bros.
That's insane.
I'm just going to push back on the Finance Bro being the comparison of plumbers and firemen in 2025. I think it's more like DoorDash delivery drivers.
Okay.
Would be the more pertinent comp.
DoorDash delivery drivers and Finance Bros. We're going to put them both in there. 93rd percentile as a roll man, and then the 92nd percentile on all jumpers. So every way that he likes to play offense, he's efficient. You just, projecting his ceiling is a role player, but his ceiling is a good role player. Steven said YouTubers and podcasters. That's a good one too. He's playing against podcasters. Although there's one coaching the Lakers now. So I don't know if that helps or hurts that argument. I'm going to watch that one again because that's slightly contested against a little guy. Like this, the way he brings the shot down so low, it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts like actual NBA defenders.
Wait, did Katie Prime just tweet that at me? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that guy needs a job.
I haven't checked my It's Saturday, to be fair, but I haven't checked my notifications.
Fleming trying to change.
Timely buckets.
There's a cut. There's a good example of the Suns, by the way, are going to cut a lot. If Jordan Ott is to be believed. Well, I like that one.
Katie Prime's new thing is calling me a twink a lot, which I think might be him saying that he's attracted to me. I'm not actually sure.
That's a great catch and shoot there in the corner because he's moving into the open area of the shot. So kind of hops into the shot to make a little bit of extra space on that defender. If he adds some level of movement to his shooting, which I think he can do pick and pops right away, that's pretty huge. There's a movement shot. I mean, that's ridiculous for a guy his size. They're setting the screen for him. He's moving. He's flipping the angle. Pretty excited.
St. Joe's can score points with nobody's business.
Let's watch. I think we got a good look at it. There's more scoring highlights here, and if you have time, I recommend still going through and watching because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff. Or just it's fun. Truthfully, that's what it is. His highlights are fun. So go and watch.
Yeah, this is going to be a smaller playmaking section here.
Exactly. But we should still watch it. I think just to get a good idea of what we're looking at with him.
Texas. Fleming wants to take Kaluma.
So that's a drive.
Whoa!
That's against a good team.
That's a spin move.
There's a reason they started with this play, I think.
Because this is the best one.
Right.
Spin into the double.
And it's against good competition, too.
It is good competition. The defense is way out of position there. And way late techs out in the corner.
And these occasional passes on his drives, they do happen. You can't rely on it. It's more stuff like this one, just like the classic dribble handoff to a shooter, Koby Brea type. That's a good pass. I like that there was a little pass fake built into that one. Let's watch that one again. I think he was looking away on that one too. Pretty nice.
Finds the cutter, Fleming.
That's a good pass. He definitely has some level of feel.
That's going to be them running a triangle offense of bigs in the paint of just Fleming, Oso, and Maluach playing together, where none of them shoot really, and
Yeah, one of them
keep
does.
flipping passes.
The way one scout described it to me is the passing to field comes and goes. So you'll see it sometimes, and sometimes it'll just look really bad. And, I think that's fair.
Really nice out of the post.
Still pretty young, too. Did play multiple years of college, but still pretty young.
I don't think they can compete with Duke. Now, they may lose tomorrow at Wake Forest. They may lose a game.
Not a bad pass. That's a bit of a skip pass on that one, too. NBA athletes are different, though. You can barely pass against OKC. I know that's like an outlier, but good cutting team, so it's nice to see some level of passing to cutters. There's some of the loose handle on that one, actually.
He'll take a couple dribbles, lose the handle, and then and then need someone to bail him out. Yeah. It's like he has some confidence for about 3 seconds, and then he's like, "Ah, shit, I shouldn't have done this."
Yeah, if you find a way to develop some extra play, that's back-to-back banked threes on his assists, by the way. Those are technically assists. If you find a way to get some actual playmaking out of him in the NBA, like, you have a steal. Because, really, like I said, he really projects to be a 3-and-D role player who also gets rebounds and also can dunk. And that's like a supercharged role player if it all works out at a high level. But even if it doesn't, like if it's sort of medium level, it's still pretty valuable because he's got a 7'5" wingspan. If you're 7'5" and can make threes, 7'5" wingspan and can make threes, that's pretty valuable right away. Anything else is the cherry on top. Any of these types of passes happening in the NBA wouldn't count on.
Good.
I mean, occasionally.
Catch in traffic. Relocating. Yeah, I mean, that was a jump pass.
And you're going to need
to bail him out
at the right time to bail him out, yeah.
Coach Chris Mack, who's, been around
Concerns, Sam.
Swing, yep, that's a good swing. That just the most basic types of assists there, but we're going to need him
playmaking section.
That's okay. It's like with Maluach, we're talking about making basic reads mostly, but they need to play within the right role.
I think he'll be pretty effective pretty quickly in a smaller role. And I think he's the type of player that, like, 2 years from now, like in his third season, you're like, wow, he's really improved. He's really gotten a lot better. That's the kind of thing that I would anticipate for him, because it's when you're playing the role that you're playing, which he's going to be asked to do a lot defensively, a lot of what makes you better over time is playing against these guys and understanding their tendencies. Now, you can watch all the film you want, but you have to understand what they're going to do against you as a defender. And I think that's something Mikal Bridges has talked about. Tumani Kamara has talked about. These are guys that you kind of, they're so good in the I'm getting Emma Stone pictures. She's a Suns fan. It's relevant. But yeah, we'll see him improve over time. Anything else on Rasheer Fleming?
Shout out Emma Stone. On Rasheer Fleming, no. I'm actually really excited to get to Koby Brea. And I wanted to ask you, because someone mentioned it earlier, but if we have time at the end here, we should do Koby Brea. This is the guy easily I've watched the least amount of film on, but what I've seen, I've been really impressed. We should also, if you can find a video of CJ Huntley, who they signed like 15 minutes after the draft ended to a two-way, that would be cool too.
It's a good idea, because I haven't really watched any of that. So
I haven't watched any CJ Huntley really at all, so that would be nice.
Before the draft, I knew Khaman Maluach. I watched highlights. I watched Rasheer Fleming. Rasheer Fleming, we scouted him for the 29th pick, so I think we even talked to Tyler Rucker about Rasheer Fleming in our podcast about him.
Yeah, we did.
But since the draft, I've about overdosed on Koby Brea highlights, man. His highlights are crazy. I'm really excited to watch these. This is a different type of video. It's not there wasn't a no ceilings video for him, so it's not separated into playmaking, defense, and scoring. But I'm gonna be honest with you, if it's 100% shooting this video, I'm still happy, because you're gonna see what he's capable of here, and it's kind of crazy.
I imagine it's going to be 90% shooting, but I am hoping that there are a couple of clips of the playmaking and maybe some mid-range there, because some of the stuff I've seen, particularly in that video where he breaks down his own film, with, I apologize, I forget his name, but it was another member of No Ceilings. There is some good stuff there. And so I'm going to ask us to pause and break that down if we see it. He's not like Rasheer Fleming in that he just like never showcased an in-between game, right? Like I think Koby Brea shot 45% from mid-range this past year at Kentucky. And, you know, on like an attempt or two per game, like he's definitely taking threes a lot more often, but there is something in between to his game. And I think maybe that's something you can continue to bring out of him. Of becoming a connector on offense.
The stats for him in college, he basically shot 50% in the season before he was at Kentucky. Dayton, I believe, is where he played, and then transferred to Kentucky against much better competition and shot 43.5% in Kentucky. These are like generational level college style shooting in the way he's shooting. So it's important to know 43.5% is what he shot in Kentucky. I imagine these are all going to be Kentucky highlights. Not all 3-point attempts are created the same. There are guys who stand in the corner, catch and shoot only, PJ Tucker types. You know, that's how we always talk about in the Suns, because that's what PJ Tucker did for the Suns. The shots that Koby Brea is taking that we're about to watch are so much more difficult. So factor that in when thinking about the 43.5% when we watch these highlights.
Easy.
You can't do that with him, right? And that's a good example right away. We're starting off. This is after a few dribbles. He does have a pull-up 3-point shot as well as
that's that patented Wright State defense right there. This is going to be an easier, level of competition for him. A team like this, 63-30 at the beginning of the second half, easy side step.
I know it's Wright State. You're right. But like, here's a staggered screen for him running off the ball. He sprints into it, and the thing that I love about so many of these highlights is on the catch. The defense is there. Now he can still shoot on this catch right here and probably get his shot off quick enough that this defender is not going to block him. But he has so much of that in his game right there.
Well, honestly, that's already him. It feels like kind of consciously preparing for the next level where defenders are going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 inches longer. And a lot of times if he just tries to, he may have awesome footwork and plant his feet amazing on the pass, but the defender's still going to get it if you go right up for the shot. So he needs the sidestep in order to survive in the NBA. And the fact that he already has it in his college tape, as a guy who's going to be 6'6", but often playing longer wings, is really good to see.
The amount of extra fakes on the catch that you're going to see in this video, hopefully, I haven't watched it yet, is going to impress you, because just that little bit extra to make sure the three's going to be wide open. It's Curry, you learn it from Curry. He talked about it. It's his favorite shooter. He said Steph Curry made him want to be a shooter. Oh, and by the way, look where he's looking before that shot goes in.
Yeah, and dude, it's like a clean make.
And he knows it. He clearly knows it. He's already looking at the crowd.
Does not touch the rim.
Yeah.
So many of these don't touch the rim.
Chandler into the game as well. Gets the
rebound. There it is.
Yes. Okay, that's the Paul George jab step that he was talking about in the video of, I'm going to go left, I'm going to go right, I'm going to watch how the defense reacts to me, and then on the second jab step, he gets the defender, then he can sidestep, pull up into a three.
There's so much...
So it's understanding the triple threat and not... what was it I said the other day that people were making fun of? Guys are going to bust, When you're in the triple threat, you don't need to take the dribble immediately. You don't need to blow that load.
Yeah.
Instantly. You can size up the
This
defense.
video is going to get taken off of YouTube.
Without dribbling and put yourself in a better position. If you have a quick release like him, once you get the couple extra inches of space, then you're golden.
You can see why I've been watching so much Koby Brea film, in that we've seen 3 shots already, and it's taken us 10 minutes just to talk about these 3 shots. But there's so much. Boom, boom, boom. Reading it. He wasn't open, and then he was, because of what he did with the ball, and it was almost nothing.
Looking for someone to feed it to.
Yeah, and that's
relocation
that, Rasheer Fleming can't do that either, right? Like when we talk about the difference, one of these guys might have shot 39% from 3 and the other shot 43. it may not feel like that much, but the level of gravity and the amount that Koby Brea terrifies the defense as he's running around, you can just feel the difference.
This is Steph.
Gets doubled, so he backs out of it.
You know, like
Brea, step back 3.
he's not Steph, but like he clearly learned the exact footwork and exact ball moves that Steph does to create space. I mean, like nobody does it like that but Steph. Now, other players in the NBA have gotten good at it. Tyler Hero is one of them.
I've seen Booker do that.
Booker can do it. Other players can do it. But like it's clear who he's watching, I think, when he does it. And the thing I think that impresses me the most about him is the footwork. And it's actually really similar to what we experienced when Devin Booker was drafted by the Suns, too.
Was that a deep three on the wing?
You watch so much of it. It's a few feet behind the line.
Where's he catching it? Yeah, that's like 3 feet behind the line. I mean, again, just, if he can make those shots without having to put on 50 pounds like Grayson Allen did this past year,
yeah,
then that's an advantage. Okay, so here he's running a pick and roll.
Yes, and it's a step back 3. And he can do this. Like, this is not... It's not something that just happened to happen on this play. He has a lot of this in his game where he can create. Against NBA players, probably not right away. And we should mention, by the way, it's been reported that he's likely going to be on a 2-way for the Suns. He's not even going to have a full roster spot right away. So he's probably going to be playing on the Valley Suns for most of the season. Maybe he'll get time in the NBA based on injuries. So we might not see him against a lot of NBA players right away, but, I hope we do. I just want to see.
I don't know. I mean, if they can't get rid of Beal, but they just send Beal home for the season, then Koby Brea might start playing a factor into the depth chart sooner than we think.
Yeah.
There's a real chance that we just have a $50 million dead cap hit on our roster this year.
Good pass there. So he does have the occasional playmaking too. He can make passes. There's more to his game than just shooting, I should say, offensively. There's another fake sidestep. Sinks it. Not all threes are created the same. I'm going to mention it again.
So they're in a zone, and they're just giving him the corner there. That's wild.
Bad defense. Kentucky was good, though, so...
Williams off the leg. Gets it right back. Now Brea.
That's
wow,
the James Harden.
That's a lot of space.
The James Harden double step back, right? 1, 2. And that's just, you don't do that by accident. You do that because you worked on the footwork over and over and over and over.
He feels like a guy who's just taken a lot. Like, this is the type of guy where he's going to have Devin Booker to learn from. You want veterans around a guy like this because he's going to make the extra effort to take something from everyone he talks to.
And don't get me wrong, it's good for him to learn from Devin Booker, but like he needs to learn from like Norm Powell and guys more like that. Than
Grayson Allen, if they
Grayson
keep
Allen
Grayson
too,
Allen,
but yeah,
it's not a bad starting point.
Grayson Allen didn't shoot like this in college though.
No, he didn't.
He sets himself, he squares himself. Time here at Rupp Arenas. That one poked away by Garrison. Oh, way out ahead to Brea.
He's got some. He even has a couple. He even has a couple dunks in the half court too, so he can't off cuts.
They are just blowing so many of these teams out in these clips. They're already up 30, 40.
This is a good one to talk about what he talked about in that video with no ceilings, by the way. And this, I think, is the type of thing that he improved at from Dayton to Kentucky. And this is the little fakes that he does to lull defenders to sleep off the ball. It's just so nice. Right, jab step to one end, act like he's cutting, and then step back behind the three-point line once the defender makes contact with the screener.
All net.
And there's so much more of it in the No Ceilings video with him talking, so watch that one because it's not going to have all of his off-ball movement in these because it's highlights, so it just shows the end of the play. But what he does at the beginning of these plays to get open, that's, I think, what matters.
Ott's gonna run a million of those pin downs like in that play right there.
Yeah.
Just these simple pin downs for him.
And he can turn them into pick and rolls like that. And he's not afraid to shoot the pull-ups. He also talked, I don't know if we're going to get a lot of cutting.
Handoff. Here's a handoff. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. So, look, there's not a ton of clips like this, but a guy like this, think Duncan Robinson and Bam Adebayo, you get used to working off the handoffs. You play .5 basketball, push the pace, turn it into a 2-on-1. And here he actually has the height to finish over the top and turn it into a dunk. But a lot of times, if the defender is coming towards him, that's going to be a lob that he has over the top there. If he's playing that with Mark Williams or Khaman Maluach, he can push that into a lob easily.
It's a deep three.
And he also does have a floater in his game too, by the way. I have seen it.
Actually, that's one of the things that he grades out really well in, is the floater. And also maybe one of the concerns when you talk about his ceiling is the kind of, he relies on the floater. He doesn't quite get to the rim in ways that you could project a high ceiling for him. But, there's guys like that all over the NBA. He'll be fine if he just relies on the shooting alone. There's the floater.
Well,
not the prettiest one, but
it came off the back rim, but
another pick and roll. The footwork.
By Travis Perry, who's back into the game. Brea.
The footwork is just flawless. I mean, it really is.
And Brea gets it inbounded by Travis.
Right, he's making room for the screen. Screen's there, hops into the shot, and he's so quick off his feet to shoot that shot, and then it doesn't hit anything but the net.
Big time shot by Brea. Ole back out. Car back to Ole.
Contested.
The defender followed him the entire way because he saw the pass coming and it didn't matter. It just wasn't close enough.
He's so good on his feet off the ball. Players who understand the value of what you do off the ball.
Another handoff that goes.
This one's so nasty.
So
he
again,
talks about this one in that video, by the way.
Again, he catches off of the handoff. Can you go back? Is this the play?
This one's it. Yeah.
So he's taking the handoff, and again, like a few plays ago, he could just push that forward and could have created 2-on-1, but he also has it in his bag to go to the step back, create the space.
Also, this is what he talks about here. When you start this play, he looks not engaged right here. He's purposely trying to lull his defender to sleep a little bit. So he's acting like he's not going to run here.
You might even put the hands
immediately
on the hips
takes off
sometimes and say, "Oh, I'm out of the play."
Yeah, and then the tweener step back is ridiculous, of course, and that's not something he'll probably be allowed to do in the NBA. But maybe occasionally, he'll definitely do it in the G League.
Terrible pass.
How do you get that?
Terrible pass.
It's just terrible defense. Easy corner three. Nothing too impressive about that, but handoffs. He's going to shoot it. Every handoff that he's open, he's going to launch. Shoots behind the line too. He's not towing the line on any of these really when they're at the top of the key.
Another sidestep
I
fake.
just really like this one too. Yeah, because they're going to overplay him.
15-2 type game right now.
They're going to overplay him. So there's the fake, right? And he's got that negative foot thing where he's ready to take off. Got to be careful to not step out of bounds. EJ will
True. He is going to get hit on some of those.
But knowing how they're going to play him and reading the defense based on that is going to really, really impact his game. So hopefully he can do that a lot in the NBA.
Here's Koby Brea.
You just never know when he's going to stop and when he's going to keep going.
Here's Koby Brea.
Why didn't Brea go higher in the draft? This is an excellent question. Because he's 6'5.5". He's 6'6" with shoes on. There's some wiggle in his game there too.
Booker was 6'6", and he shot the hell out of the ball, and he went 13th. But Booker was 18, and Brea is 22.
Age matters.
That's the real reason right there.
Age matters in the draft because he's 22.5. So he's going to be one of the older players drafted, period. That's such a ridiculous shot. And also, he doesn't really project to be an excellent defender, just as Ruler's pointing out, a negative wingspan. The numbers specifically for vertical and stuff like that are not going to be great. The other difference if you're talking about Devin Booker, since it's impossible for Suns fans not to make this comparison right away, but Devin Booker, all of his agility numbers at the combine were kind of off the charts. They were actually really, really impressive, which is not what a lot of people expected out of Devin Booker. So there was that. And I think Devin Booker in general coming out at 18 and having high level potential pushed him up to the top. So age, defense, and not a super high ceiling when it comes to a creator, but I think a little bit undersold when you watch the footage that I think he can create more than people expect.
Yeah, I agree. Also, just on the negative wingspan bit, look, wingspan is very important. We just talked about Rasheer Fleming. But if you have height and a decent standing reach, and you've shown that you have certain anticipatory skills and you compete, that is often enough if you have the requisite offensive skill. Case in point, who's a guy with a negative defender who just got traded for like 5 first-round picks? Desmond Bane. Right? And Desmond Bane went late in the draft for similar reasons. He's like 6'4", at 6'5", with a 6'4" wingspan or something.
Yeah, he was like 32nd or something like that, wasn't he?
Exactly. And now he's going to be one of the central pieces of Orlando's offense. Now, I'm not saying Brea is specifically similar to Desmond Bane in the way he plays, but like you can get by with a negative wingspan if you're smart. And you know,
I mean, if he reaches like a ceiling, it's more of a JJ Redick one. Obviously, like that's kind of what you need him to be. But I do think there's something there, you know.
Also, really good point from That's Kind of Wild. His turnover percentage was really good in college. I think he had like, God, I got to look it up. I want to say he had like a 3-to-1 assist turnover ratio this year or something really good.
Okay, finally we get a cut play. So just talking about his cutting, he was asked in the No Ceilings video, keep plugging that video when he talks about his own film, what did he improve at the most between Dayton and Kentucky? He said when he got to Kentucky, he was told he needs to cut more. Basically, he's got to be an excellent cutter. And there's so much you can do when you have gravity as a shooter because they're going over the screen on him here. He's off the ball in the top corner. Right? They're going over the screen because he's a shooter. Now he has space to get to the rim. He knows that there's whoever number 5 is here for him, that defender needs to stay on. So he's going to have a clear line all the way to the rim. They're just too afraid of his shooting. And so he's starting to understand when he has the space to cut. And that's going to be important for him to just find extra ways to get easy shots. And by the way, I think when he gets to the rim too, he can make the right read. We talked about his turnover percentage. I don't think he's a guy who's not good at passing. He's a pretty good passer.
Robinson, Brea.
There's a reason all his highlights are offensive, though.
Double figures with 10.
It's just how he's going to be.
Brea on the drive.
There's a little bit of the juice. That's the kind of finishes you're going to get from him. Not exactly getting off of the ground very high, but you know, not everyone needs to.
For Kentucky, hit a 3 earlier this half. That was the same play they just ran that got him that 3.
Damn.
That's just Steph Curry footwork right there. It's just so nice. Just to read the defender so cleanly. And we could do this forever. Like, there's not going to be much other highlights in this video other than shooting. And that's why he was drafted, though.
Trying to get the shot off. And he
does that not look like Steph against Chris Paul?
kicks it out. Garrison.
I know it's like college, so it's not as impressive, but 1 fake, 2 fake, 3 fake.
You know, again, just to the point of him being 6'7" in shoes, I just had to go and look it up. The combine numbers. The negative wingspan is what it is, but when you talk about a guy being able to like contest shots, you really want to look at the standing reach. And his standing reach is 8'6", which is not bad. That's
not
the
bad.
same. It's the same as VJ Edgecombe. It's the same as Dylan Harper. It's the same as Con Knippel. You could do way, way, way worse than a guy with an 8'6" standing.
Is the Illinois, Bruce in the chat, is the Illinois game where he went 7 for 7 from 3? I believe it is. I'm sure he'll respond in the chat here. No, you're right. You're right, Sam. Like, there's just, I don't know. I really don't understand why he was drafted so low when I watched the film. But, you know, I'm kind of like seduced by players like this all the time. The way the NBA is played, too, it leans more Rasheer Fleming than it does Koby Brea right now, in that you have to be capable defensively to stay. 7 for 8, Steven. Thank you. Yeah, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he started that game 7 for 7 and then missed his last 3, which is just nuts.
We have to see how the Summer League roster is going to come around exactly, but
it's a defensive highlight. We finally got one.
We're going to be focusing so much on Maluach and Fleming, obviously, because those are the guys we project to be playing right away, and I'm sure they'll be great, but is there a chance that Koby Brea is just the leading scorer?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, first of all, he's 22.
Yeah, and he's
So
just going to come out guns a-blazing.
That's a great cut play. So let's watch this one. So he passes it off to the big and then immediately stands straight up like he's not going to do anything. And then, boom, just one little fake towards the ball. And he leaves the guy in his dust. Just really, really, really smart with his fakes off the ball. And once again, like, you guys who don't want to do stuff off the ball don't want to do stuff off the ball. It's really difficult to convince them to do it. Like, the ones who are capable and willing to do it constantly, it's valuable to have those kinds of players.
To that point also, you're not going to see any clips of it here in the highlights because it's just not the type of thing that makes highlight reels, but he will screen for other players off the ball, right? And his willingness to screen for other players off the ball and involve himself in actions where he can be a decoy and end up not even getting the ball. Sometimes he will, but not always.
And what he talked about too,
another thing that helps him stick around.
What he talked about, what allows him to do it, is conditioning. He said no one's going to be able to outrun him out there because he's going to be in the best condition to be able to do that.
Yeah, and also,
you watch Indiana play, and it's what they did. Conditioning really matters right now.
And he's also 6'7" with shoes and 200 pounds, which is enough to do it, right? Like, some of these really tiny point guards where you have to think to yourself, like, even if they're a great shooter, you have to think, how am I going to involve this guy exactly? He's 170 pounds. He's just so small. Brea isn't. He has legitimate wing size that means that you can involve him in a more complex offense. I have to hit the bathroom for 1 minute.
Yeah.
But then I do want us, if you can find a video of CJ Huntley, that would be a good place.
Yeah, I'll look right now. And one thing I'll say, somebody asked about comparing Koby Brea to Knipple. The thing I'll say about Knipple is there's not a ton of flaws in Knipple's game. The ceiling, it can be argued about how high the ceiling is going to be for somebody like Knipple, but the defense is pretty good. The offense is pretty good. His shot creation for others, his passing is pretty good. There's just a lot to Knipple's game that got him drafted where he was, and I can see why he was drafted where he was. So let's see. CJ Huntley. So for those who don't know, CJ Huntley was undrafted, but the Suns did sign him to a deal, an undrafted deal. I believe it was a two-way deal, yeah. So he's going to be probably playing a lot with these guys, the guys that we just watched, mostly Brea. I think Brea is the guy that's most likely to play. Brea is a reason in and of himself to go to the games in Tempe. So if you're local in Phoenix and you want to go see some Valley Suns games and Brea is going to be playing on those nights, it's a good reason to go watch him. And I have yet to watch CJ Huntley, so let me look up some of his stats real quick just to see how big he is, because I think that's the type of thing that's going to matter. He is massive, by the way. I think if you talk about adding more size to the Suns, he's 6'11", 221 pounds. Last year, he did average 15 points, 8 rebounds, 49% from the field, 1.1 assists. Looks like a guy who does shoot threes and can shoot threes, but maybe that's not a big part of his game. And he's a huge, huge dude. Let's watch some highlights and we'll see what Sam thinks when he gets back.
Last February, it's 12 straight. Huntley again. Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm back. Are we already in?
Yep, we're in CJ Huntley right here.
Did you read the measurements? I think 6'10".
6'11" is what he's listed on ESPN.
6'11" with shoes, probably. Yep.
Yeah.
7'4", 7'5" wingspan.
So another big guy with length. Yeah. Yeah, very similar measurements to Fleming. You could see the long arms on his shot release. Shot 35% from three.
Yeah. So I think we're not going to watch any video on the other guys who are just in Summer League, but the reason we'll do it with Huntley is because this is a confirmed two-way, correct?
Yeah.
And so this is a guy you're going to, at the very least, see on the Valley Suns. And look, guys, that's a great dunk. There's a lot of room for additional power forwards on the roster right now, so I'm not going to say he couldn't end up playing. Pick and pop.
Yeah, no, these guys, when there's injuries, these guys will play. At some point in the NBA, we didn't expect Colin Gillespie to be such a huge part of the Suns' rotation at the beginning of the last season. Kind of thought he would play, thought he was an NBA player, but he ended up playing a lot more than we expected.
Just a little bit further out than a lot of guys because he's willing to let it fly from just about anywhere.
38-point three-point shooter.
So really, it seems how many three-point attempts per game did he shoot? Because these highlights are all
3.8. Only about a third of his attempts were threes. But he shot 3.8 per game and 36%.
118 total three-point attempts, according to Steven in the chat here. I'm going to watch more of him. I can't imagine he's going to play a big role in the Suns, but, it's just fun to learn about these guys.
See if they can use that stoppage to their advantage, and they immediately turn it over. With that said, 3-on-2.
Here, you have him running the floor. That's a great job running the floor and cocks it back with the right hand. That's
threw it down.
As they built their largest lead of 5.
Little playmaking chops, maybe into the pick and pop.
That's
I don't know,
nice.
man. Seems
nice.
Seems pretty skilled on offense.
Yeah,
actually.
and the shot release is clean. There's confidence, and he caught it and shot it right away. It looked nice. Okay, there's a little bit of post moves there too. Oh, and then he taunted him. I love it.
A little too small. That's a tech in the NBA, but okay.
I love it.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, KD's allowed to do it. Ooh, that's nice. Is he a good offensive rebounder? That's something they definitely targeted.
They've been getting offensive rebounders everywhere, man. He
Niffy in the chat. That's what people say about him. 4-5.
9.6 boards per 40, of which 2.7 were offensive rebounds. I'd say, yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Not like amazing, but pretty good.
That's a nice pass. Good catch. He just went right up with it too.
Yeah, this is definitely a 4-5 that they're thinking they could, I mean, if they had to, right, play next to Mark Williams or Maluach and still have him space the floor and get offensive rebounds as like an energy big.
Right.
It's like, that's what I'm getting from this.
Well, I know if you're going to be watching some Valley Suns games, seeing a guy with this level of length there is going to be it's going to stand out, let's just say. 7'5", 7'4" wingspan and the ability to shoot threes. It's not a combination that's common, and the Suns are clearly valuing that kind of thing. And Bruce Velez in the chat is exactly right. They know what coach they got. They got the coach of the Cleveland team that had a ton of length in their front court, and they're trying to do something like that here in Phoenix and see if they can find a way to replicate it. I've made the joke before, but if you get Jalen Green on the team, you might as well get a bunch of guys who are good at offensive rebounding.
Finish up top. Don't know how many lobs he had. Or I mean, it seems like he caught a lot of lobs. I don't know what the efficiency was, though.
Another post up. Well, we'll watch more of him later. We'll have more to talk about with CJ Huntley. Obviously, we watched Maluach here. We watched some Fleming. We watched some Koby Brea. We got a podcast we're recording tomorrow, which is Sunday. We're going to be talking about free agency coming up. The Suns are still projected to only have minimum contracts, so it's not going to be a huge free agency period for the Suns. But they also made another pretty big addition in Mark Williams. So we're going to spend some more time doing more research about Mark Williams. And the plan is to have a guest who covered the Charlotte Hornets to talk about Mark Williams with us on our podcast tomorrow. So get ready for that one soon. We'll be recording that one soon. You got anything else, Sam, before we go here?
I don't think so. We are going to post this to YouTube, you said? So
if you
watch this from YouTube, welcome back. Welcome back to the family. We're so happy to have you.
Yeah.
Check us out. Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts, except for YouTube. That's where we post them because we are still in 2025 audio only. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for hanging out.